Imagine this. You walk into a shop in London. You pick something completely normal. Maybe a book, maybe a device, maybe just groceries. You tap your card and it doesn't go through. Not because your balance is low, not because the machine is broken, but because something in the system decided you shouldn't buy it. That sounds extreme, almost unrealistic. But the infrastructure that makes this possible already exists across the UK. Every single payment you make in the UK flows through a network, not just your bank, but institutions like Visa and MasterCard payment rails, UK banks like Barclays, HSBC, Lloyds, fraud prevention systems, anti-money laundering frameworks, and oversight bodies like the Financial Conduct Authority and the National Crime Agency. This isn't one system. It's a layered architecture, and every layer is checking something. When you tap your card, your transaction is analyzed in milliseconds. It's scored, compared, evaluated, not just for fraud, but for risk. And here's the part most people don't realize. Risk is not a fixed definition. It's dynamic. It changes based on patterns. Patterns like how often you spend, where you spend, who you send money to, how your behavior changes over time. A tabana posekamsecht, even something as simple as buying something unusual, can trigger attention. And once something is flagged, the system doesn't just watch, it can act. Right now, banks in the UK already have the ability to decline transactions instantly, block payments, freeze accounts under suspicion, delay transfers while checks are performed. This is standard practice, and it's backed by regulation. For example, under anti-money laundering laws, banks are required to intervene if something looks suspicious. Not optional, required. And in many cases, they are not allowed to tell you why. Think about that. A system can block your access, and you may not even get an explanation. Now take that one step further. What if instead of reacting, systems started anticipating? This is where things begin to shift. Across finance, there is increasing focus on predictive systems, models that don't just detect fraud, but predict behavior, what you're likely to do next. And once a system can predict, it can intervene earlier, before a transaction completes, before money moves, before you even realize something is happening. Now imagine combining that with another concept, programmable money. Money that isn't just stored digitally, but controlled digitally. Money that can have rules attached. Rules like, this money can only be spent on certain categories. This payment cannot go to certain recipients. This transaction is outside acceptable behavior, not declined randomly, declined by design. This isn't science fiction. These concepts are actively being explored. Central banks, including the Bank of England, have discussed digital currency models, often referred to as central bank digital currencies. And while the goal is often efficiency and security, the underlying capability is powerful. Because digital money can be programmed, and once something is programmable, it can be restricted. Na eins of the minsa and tolin were roken, controlled, even shaped. Now, to be clear, existing systems already enforce restrictions. For example, gambling blocks on bank accounts, merchant category restrictions, fraud detection declines, sanctions lists that block payments globally. These are real, and they are already active. But what happens when these systems become more granular, more precise, more personalized? Not just this category is blocked, but this specific behavior is blocked. But this specific behavior is blocked. That's a different level entirely. Now think about scale. These systems operate across millions of people, in real time. Every transaction, every card tap, every transfer, analyzed instantly, without human intervention. Because at this level, it has to be automated. Algorithms, decision engines, machine learning models, systems that continuously learn, systems that refine their understanding of normal and redefine what counts as abnormal. And here's where things become subtle. Because most of this is invisible. You don't see the checks. You don't see the scoring. You only see the outcome. Approved or declined. Allowed or blocked. And when something is blocked, it often feels sudden, unexpected. But from the system's perspective, it wasn't sudden at all. It was calculated, based on everything it knows about you, your history, your patterns, your behavior, not just one transaction, but all of them. Now imagine this evolving further. More data, more connections, more integration, across platforms, across services, across systems, not just banking, but digital identity, online services, payment ecosystems, all linked, all contributing to a broader picture. A profile, a digital understanding of you, and once that profile exists, decisions can be made from it. Not manually, automatically, at scale, instantly. Now bring this back to something simple. You try to buy something, and the system evaluates, is this consistent? Is this expected? Does this align with the profile? And if the answer is no, the transaction doesn't go through. Not because you can't pay, but because the system decided not to allow it. And that leads to a deeper question. Who defines the rules? Regulators? Banks? Systems? Or a combination of all three? And how often do those rules change? Quietly, incrementally, without you noticing. Because most of the time, everything works. Payments go through. Life feels normal. Until it doesn't. Until one moment, something is declined, and you don't know why. And you can't immediately fix it. And the real question isn't, can systems block what you buy? Because they already can. The real question is,